So I want to start with, the easiest question. What did you expect when you got here, and did you run into what you expected? You came in with some expectations. You thought, well, the legislature is going to be like this. You want to start?
Sure. It was when you're campaigning and you're so, excited and trying to, think you can fix the world, and you come in and you realize, my one vote doesn't count for 21. So that's probably something extremely surprising. But I'll tell you, I'm so blessed really to work with a great body of folks that genuinely care about Texas. I guess I can tell you, starting out, probably a funny story, and that is day before yesterday, I was laying out my first bill in committee, right?
Is that as rough in the Senate as it is in the House?
Well, let me tell you about so I'm going in thinking this is really simple, it's not controversial, it's related to Texas State University, San Marcos, and expecting this just to ease in, great practice. I get there, whoa, am I surprised? Yes, bipartisanship is alive and well, as I got, innocent as it was, the rite of passage hazing, as I was challenged to sing the fight song for Texas State. Texas State University. So it was quite challenging.
Does anybody know the fight song for Texas State University?
No, sir.
Well, I know what you're probably thinking. Did she sing it?
Well,
the challenge was I had to do that before I could move that bill. No, I didn't sing it, but I do have to get it passed on the floor. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen there.
So somewhere Bonnie Bruce is looking up the fight song for Texas State?
Yes, she had that to me before the committee was over.
Have you been to the front mic yet? Have you had this experience in the House?
No, sir, not yet. I have been to the front mic, but just for a resolution.
How about you? What's been the first experience in the House?
It's not quite what I expected. Like you mentioned earlier, I worked in the House before. I kept up with Texas politics. Right. I think what I expected was, 2011. Expected there to be more floor fights, people, shanked in the back hallways, and so far it's. Everyone's been very nice. We're past the halfway mark, and we've already only voted out, 3 bills in the House? So.
Only 3 to go, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say, I don't want to say I'm disappointed. I like that everyone's cooperating, everyone's working. A lot of people are independent thinkers, and I think that's wonderful. And people aren't voting straight party line on pretty much anything. They're just saying, well, let me tell you what I really think about this. Let me tell you how this affects my district. That's very refreshing. That's coming from watching the 11 session. This is a big surprise for me, and I have to say, I'm happily surprised.
Well, the conversation outside, I guess to some extent inside, has been that the first 10 weeks have been pretty quiet, but you guys have been obviously really busy. When you got here, what have you been doing? What the first 10 weeks been like? What have been your experiences?
Well, the first thing that surprised me is that you're literally drinking out of a fire hydrant. Information is coming from everywhere, from your staff, from outside groups, from other members, and that was one of the things that surprised me the most, is just the amount of information that you take in such a short period of time. But it's been very fascinating. The parliamentary process to me has been something that has stood out. Because you see this stuff on TV, you watch Congress, you watch the State House, you watch it online, but when you're actually one of the members and one of the 150 or one of the 31 and you're involved in the process, it's pretty fascinating. But one thing that was kind of, I don't want to say disappointing, but kind of took me as a surprise on the first day when we were on the floor, when someone came to the front mic, I was sitting there attentive, a good member, paying attention to what everyone was saying. They went to the mic, hey, my eyes are on you, I'm listening. And I look around and people are having 15 different conversations around the floor. I'm like, this is total disrespect, right? And I'm asking, I said, what is this? Nobody's listening to the person on the front mic. And they said, oh, we hear him. We hear him. So it's kind of been amazing. But when something really is going down, immediately there's this silence. You know, and that's been pretty fascinating. But I still do pay attention. But I've kind of gotten into the sour conversation. You know, I kind of fell into that.
So you walk into a process, the budget's 3 inches thick. The school finance system, everybody says only 6 people understand it, which may be right. I'm not sure even 6 understand it. All of these issues are really complex. And I imagine when you come in as a freshman, you look at it and it's like a pile of homework. Have you chosen something or jumped into something and said, you know, I'm going to start concentrating on that and work out from there? Have you found a thing to start with?
Well, there is, like they said, so much going on, and they really do. The members take the business of the state seriously. So you can't just focus on one specific issue, but for me, some that are important are those things that are going to protect our sovereignty, help improve, give us a good quality public education. So I've jumped into that most certainly. And our transportation, we've got to find a sustainable funding for that. How can we do that? But looking at what's good legislation, what's not going to be good for our economies, because ultimately if it's not good for our economies, it's not good for our families and prosperity. And that's why people are moving here every day with hope and looking for opportunities for their families. Mm-hmm. So while I've got some specific interests that I just named, it's tough to pick out one specific. So because there are so many of us and we're searching, a good part of it is making sure that something that is not good legislation doesn't get out. It is definitely harder to pass legislation, which is a good thing, than to block bad legislation. So there's a big focus on that and a team working together to do that.
Okay. Have you picked a place to start?
You know, what I've been trying to do is to learn as much as I can about different parts of different pieces of legislation. My background, yes, I'm very interested in keeping the business environment in Texas very competitive in what it is, and also public education or education as a whole for our children. Those are things that I'm very interested in. The family, state sovereignty, those things are very important. But I've focused on learning, especially as a freshman, to learn as much as I can and kind of be like an informational sponge. You know, to take the good with the good and the bad with the bad, and then develop, an expertise. You know, that takes time from what I understand. You're not going to get it all in your first session.
Is there a particular area you're looking at an expertise in yet, or are you still looking at?
I'm still looking. You know, I do. Education and business, and on a different front, the integrity of leadership is something that drives me and motivates me.
Mr. Wu?
You know who I'm replacing.
Right.
Scott Hochberg was the master of everything. He knew everything, and you could talk about any subject. And I don't propose to be that bold. One of the things I was always taught growing up is don't be a jack of all trades, master of none. I have a background, a little bit in education. I have a master's degree in public policy with a focus on education. I clerked the higher ed committee. And also I volunteer with kids, but also I'm a former prosecutor. I know about criminal justice, and those are really the areas I'm trying to hit on. I don't know if you guys saw, but we put out a little chart a little while ago talking about the state budget on education. We sent out the little STAR test questions, and we're trying to focus our attentions on specific areas. I don't feel compelled to learn everything. Because it's not helpful for me to try to split myself 34 different ways. But there's people in our caucus, in the Democratic caucus, that they are the masters of that one subject. And if I need to know what's going on, I will ask them for their advice. And just the same, people already come to me and ask me, hey, how do you feel about this criminal justice bill? How do you feel about this criminal justice issue? Tell me what you think about this. Could you look at this legislation real quick and give me your input? Yeah, absolutely. I know what I'm talking about when I talk to you about being a prosecutor, about the criminal justice system. Right. Will this actually bring crime down? Will this actually stop someone from doing whatever you want them to stop doing?
I have to ask how the House did on the STAR test.
No one submitted their answers, which we didn't ask them to. It really wasn't an exercise in who's smarter. I think there was a general consensus that the wording was confusing. It was unnecessarily tricky, even for adults. One of the things I have to mention is that particularly lawyers had problems with some of the questions, and lawyers almost just singled themselves out in that, because lawyers are verbal people. That we read and we look at words before we look at pictures. And a lot of those questions required you to look at the picture, and then you can figure out what the words actually mean. But for me, as a lawyer, some of those questions, you get stuck on the wording of it, and you just can't get past it. And so I think a lot of people just express their frustration like this. Why are we trying to trick fifth graders? Why are we trying to trick high schoolers? Why not just ask them, hey, do you know this, yes or no?
Yeah. Interesting. So the classic advice for freshmen is welcome, sit down, shut up. I know that's kind of a strong ethic in some ways in the House. I'm wondering about the Senate. Is there sort of a, your time will come, just kind of sit in the back row and watch? Or?
It's not that. It truly is a body, no matter which side you're on, that is collegial.
Did you expect that?
Well, yes. Well, I guess yes and no. I always have, I look at it positively, human interaction, if you will. I do expect that as this next 2 months roll out, there'll be more personalities unmasked, and there may be some battle scars at the end, if you will.
That was really tactful.
Thank you. Thank you. But, I just can only applaud the body of the Senate with their welcoming all of us as freshmen. And truly, like Representative Wu said, will use you for the expertise that you bring. And we ran on, I'm sure all of us ran on fresh ideas and just bringing in new blood, if you will. And they appreciate that too.
Do you feel like you're already a player, or do you feel like it takes some time to get into this and really kind of have a handle on it and be a player?
That's a good question, and I've got a good answer. Yes, I do feel like I'm a player. Because I'll tell you what, when you're one of 31 and it takes 21 votes, one makes a difference.
What's the House version of that?
It's a little bit different in the House. I like to refer to the House kind of like the dog pound. There's 150, I've been on teams and pretty much all my life. And, you have 150 different personalities, you have 150 different, views and opinions, districts, family scenario. There's a lot going on. And, there's been a little bit more of hazing for freshmen. It's subtle, but it's there. But my thing about, you're a freshman, but you are part of the team.
Right.
I've been called rookie countless times. Hey, rookie, hey, rookie, hey, rookie. Well, I've been a rookie before.
Are you tired of sports analogies?
No, I'm not. But hey, that's what I did. And I like to use that platform, to help people, encourage people, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're one of 150. And your vote counts, your district counts, your opinion and your expertise definitely counts. And you have to, when the hazing or the attitudes or whatever it is, when they come, you deal with them when they come. And, your voice, it will be heard. I'm of the understanding or the mindset, when I need to speak, I will. I'll listen all the time, but when it's my turn or the time comes for me to speak, I'm not afraid to speak. I'm not afraid to be on the front line. I've been there, right. As a leader. And also sometimes it's helping leaders, but we're here to do business. We're here to represent our districts the best we can and be an advocate, not just for our district, but for the people of Texas. And really, to me, you're a freshman on the first day, but when they gavel in that second day, hey, you're one of the 150.
You were here as a staffer, so you have maybe a little different view of it, but do you feel like you get to play your freshman year?
The House is definitely different when your name is on the door. I think, even though as a staffer you see a lot of the same things, but the pressure is really different. I think, you know, I've always been raised with the idea of talk less, listen more. And I'm trying to stick by that. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, I want to be sure that when I speak, it's worth listening to. So I'm trying to keep myself, you know, keep myself a little quiet. And if I want to tell somebody something, I'm just going to tell them, you know, one-on-one. I'm not going to get on, I don't want to get on the back mic and just start rambling off about stuff and whatever else. And it's like, you know, I want my words to mean something. So,
you all three went through campaigns and told your voters, told yourselves, you know, kind of how this was going to be. When you got here, what was the biggest change? Was there something that you ran into when you got into the office that you went, oh, I didn't think it was like that, I was wrong about this, or I need to adjust to that?
I think for me, the ability, as an ER physician,
Right.
I'm used to being, here's the problem, you fix it. I mean, you can be really sick in an emergency. 2 hours later, you've really got, you know, them stabilized, if you will. You're seeing an outcome, a quick outcome. You're producing something quickly. And in the Senate, I never thought about the fact, but I mean, I was wondering, is it going to be hard for me? I mean, I talk fast, walk fast, drive way too fast, ER doctor, moving, and you get to the Senate and we sit back to think about things. You have to work. You may have a great idea, and you know what? 10 people may be just as strong, but you gotta have 21, which, you know, is good because really if you can convince 21, prove your point, and if it's really good legislation, then you'll get those. It may take more than one session. But for me, I think the hardest thing is I'm used to producing quickly. And you just don't get 21 votes to push what you think is good legislation through quickly.
Did you expect that?
Well, yeah. I'm used to actually seeing this is good, you fix it, done, what's the next problem? And now it's, this is the problem, these are solutions I think are good, but you've got to convince at least 20 others. And in the ER, when you are the doc, you really don't have to convince too many other people.
Have you seen anything yet that you said, that's got to change? While I'm here, I'm going to change this?
Well, there.
Either in the way it works or in, you know, I mean, in the broad sense.
Oh, in the
you know,
system, if you
yeah,
will.
you know, you look at how the Senate works and you say, that's got to go.
Well, I toy back and forth with needing 21 to pass good legislation, but you know, you only need 11 to block bad legislation. So trying to figure out, is that a good policy? Well, historically it has proved to be so. So I think just working on my issues, trying to keep an efficient government, save taxpayer dollars, get dollars for transportation, and work on something for me, public education with the taxpayer savings grant will be good. But so far as the process, I'm still looking at what I think would need to be changed.
Does the House work the way you thought it did? When you're out there campaigning, you're talking to people, I really want to go to Austin, I'm going to change the world, here we go. Come to Austin, bonk.
You know, I think the biggest thing for me has been just the patience aspect of it. Because especially in the beginning, it's a very slow pace. And, you know, I come out of a world where, you know, it's a fast pace all the time, even in business.
Right.
And where it's results oriented, you know, and even professional sports, you know, you got 25 seconds in the huddle to make your mind up. And then once you get out of the huddle, you got about 3. You know, and so patience has always been my strong point. It's something that I'm working on though. But I didn't expect you know, I heard about how it moves slow in the beginning, then it picks up. But when you actually get here and experience it, you have to get used to that. But one thing I have liked is how people do work together. You know, that was something I wasn't expecting. It wasn't that I didn't think it would happen, but I've been delighted in how people come together, you know, across party lines. And you even see in the House, you know, it's not Republicans on one side, Democrats on the other. They're all intermingled and sit next to each other, desk mates, aisle mates. So that's been encouraging. And that's something I didn't expect, so I'm glad about that.
You mentioned 2011, and which session were you a clerk in?
I'm going to say 78, 05, whichever 05 is.
So kind of a noisy session.
It's been a while.
So you've seen some noisy sessions. There's
Yes.
a joke that, that they spend the first few weeks of a session building and nurturing the relationships that they destroy in the last few weeks of the session. What do you expect ahead of you? I mean, you might have a little bit different expectation since you've watched it.
I mean, the House is already not what I expected. I mean, yeah, I think that there could have been some, just a few weeks of niceties, of everyone being friends, and then I expected things to as soon as bills started getting filed, tempers start flaring. As soon as bills get set, people now really start getting angry.
Right.
And it's really not been that way. And again, like I said, I think I'm pleasantly surprised about it, and I hope it doesn't change. I think it probably will. Even with this last vote on the PUC sunset bill, there were some contentious moments. Mm-hmm. People got a little heated, but as soon as it was over, everything settled back down. People were, asking about each other's kids and, about sports. And
have you seen something yet you think is going to be particularly fractious?
I think there's a lot of bills that have been filed that could become very, very partisan. The question is, will they come out of committee?
Right.
If they come to the floor, absolutely. There's bills that both sides are willing to throw themselves on the tracks to stop or to move forward, and I don't think that's necessarily a good strategy for the state. I think our state's had too many issues that have been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back because we've dealt with like red meat issues, dealt with very partisan issues during the time we should have dealt with substantive business issues that move the state forward. Mm-hmm. And I think this session is the session we do business. I hope it is.
Have you guys been adopted yet? One of the things with new members is you come in, if I'm an older member of the legislature, a new member comes in, I may look at them and say, for a little while here, I may have 2 votes. I may be able to bring somebody along, help them out, and, in some situations rely on that relationship, maybe get some help there. But more in a mentoring sense, do the older members come along? Not necessarily all of them are looking for votes. Do they come along and help, or do you kind of have to make your own way? Is the bonding within the class, or is the bonding up and down?
I would say it's both ways. There is that horizontal bonding of new freshmen, but there is a lot of bonding vertically, and it's almost...
Somebody in particular?
The Senate sounds like a great place.
Yeah,
I want to go there.
It is. But, and it really doesn't matter. It probably doesn't matter specifically. Obviously, the women are strength because they see things from a woman's side. Great. I've got, Jane Nelson, Joan Huffman, Senator Zaffarini, Van de Putte. They've really been supportive. But the men also, if one of them sees you, doing something that may not be exactly how it's always done. Zaffarini is very, she knows all about the protocol and is, giving me things about protocol. And others will come through and say, you got to pick out those that, you feel are as conservative as you or may feel like you do on such issues and run it by them. And somebody else may say, well, in here we do this. It kind of just, they'll check you on whatever they see at the time. Mm-hmm. Like a bunch of truly supportive members trying to help you. They don't set you up for failure.
Well, that was my next question. That's the corollary question, right? Has anybody, stuck their foot out to help to trip you along the way? I guess not yet.
No, sir. Our freshman class, Representative Wu and you see we have on purple ties. And
it's Thursday.
Thursday is Purple Thursday. And our freshman class, before we came to the House, we began to develop relationships with each other. So we have a tight-knit group in the freshman class. And also, the older members or the members that have been here longer than us, I don't want to call them older, they've been very welcoming. you know, too, on both sides, you know. And to me, I don't really focus on the partisanship of Democrat, Republican, but, and, you know, they've come alongside us to help us. No one has come to intentionally or viciously trip you up or make it to do something to hurt you. You know, I met Sylvester Turner about 4 or 5 years ago, and we're trying to figure out if we're related or not. We don't know, you know, we got to kind of go back. But Sylvester and I, you know, we've talked, you know, through the years, and he's been very kind, and others, the Tam Parkers and the Brian Hughes and the Jody Laubenberg. There's been, you know, a plethora of people that have been very kind and helpful. And, you know, they may give you just a nugget of wisdom. You know, it may not be about politics. It may be about life. It may be about, you know, I remember one time, one of the members, when we were having a dinner before we came to the house, he said, make sure you have your house in order before you come here. Financially, your family, spiritually, whatever you do, have your house in order so that when you come here, it's all set. And those are things that the media doesn't see. You know, those are the things in the quiet conversations in the corner, life lessons. And that's been real encouraging.
Right. You're laughing, what?
Why are you laughing, Gene?
I'm going to know about the purple tie.
You see how the house is? Yeah.
The house is high school.
Right.
Oh, come on. I don't think there's some of it is about what year you came in. I think there's certain members that R or D doesn't matter, that those were your classmates and you hang with them.
Right.
And you go have dinner with them, you go have lunch with them, and then when you're on the floor, you know, they're the first person you go visit. And I see that. And you know, the floor breaks down into little cliques.
No.
There's little groups that, you know, they self-aggregate, and I mean, it's like, it's not much as about who you are, but like who you want to associate with. And I think, you know, just imagine high school.
One of the freshmen last time, I'll stop here and we'll turn it over to the audience, but you know, one of the freshmen last year, Lanham Line from Wichita Falls, had been a mayor, came down here, was used to getting things done at a city pace, came down here, got a taste of a nasty session in 2011 and said, that's enough for me, I'm out of here. Decided not to run again. Have you run into anything that was a little disconcerting yet?
No.
It sounds like the whole legislature's all in a kumbaya mode right now.
Like I said, have us back at the end of
Right.
the, and we may give you a different
We'll have an
story.
exit interview.
That's it, an exit interview. You know, I don't think so. I think I'm very pleased. I don't.
You're happy with the pace? You think?
I
it
think
works?
there's a lot of, well, most certainly for me right now, because there is a lot of institutional knowledge I need to gain, and I think that is valuable, and that's what the seasoned senators have to offer, because the knowledge that you gain over time. So there is a lot of value in that. I don't see anything right now that would take me home.
All happy?
Yes, sir. I'm happy. And I think and I told you before, I love coming to work every day. I mean, one, it's a great opportunity to serve the people of Texas. And that's not to say that everything's easy. It's not to say that I like everything that goes on, because I don't. You know, but I'm of the mindset and of the nature that if you see something that you don't like, be a part of the change, be a part of the solution to, you know,
Is there an
make it
example?
better. Well, we don't have that much time, you know, because in a sense of not that there's that much bad, but for me to develop that, I don't want to take up the interview with that. But, you know, my thing is like, look, if you don't like it, then, you know, hit it head on or patiently wait and see if it works out. And if not, then, you know, be a part of the solution of it. But that's part of the challenge to me. And I love coming. This is right in my wheelhouse because I love people and I love to serve. So I'm coming back next time.
I guess I should ask, did you like high school? Had a flashback.
We went through it. Let's leave it at that. You know, my thing is, I had much worse expectations of what the house would be. So, you know, I was looking for the bodies in the back hallway. The fact that they're not there right now, I guess it's good. I mean, this is, and even if there were, that's what I would expect, and I'm willing to deal with it. I've wanted to do this for a very, very long time. You remember Sherry Greenberg?
Sure.
Yeah, she's a state rep from Austin.
Teaches at the LBJ school.
Teaches at LBJ school. In fact, she was my teacher at LBJ school, and I ran into her again recently. I told her, it's your fault that I'm here. I told her because it's her class that I got to meet like Rusty Kelly. I get to meet all these different people. They're like, this is what I want to do. I want to be here. I want to change public policy. I want to make the lives of people better. I want to be a part of this group that has a say about what goes on in the state. And I don't care what happens, I'll be here.
Great.
I love this.
Okay, we're going to turn it over to the audience for questions. Can you give them a hand?